A very warm and hearty good day to all of you. My name is Ramanpreet Kaur Bhatia. I am a chartered accountant from ICAI, a certified public accountant from CPA Australia, and a distinguished Toastmaster from Toastmasters International. In this video, I'll be discussing few aspects on the topic of globalization from Module 1 of Global Strategy and Leadership subject of CPA Australia. I hope you'll all find some value in this video. Let's dive into our topic for today, which is globalization. What is globalization? Now, globalization refers to an international organization with operations in many countries that are integrated in some way, maybe through finance or maybe through production or marketing or sales activity, and can take the form of import export business. It simply means that I am an organization and I have my business expanded in different areas of the world. Somehow or the other, both these units, which are located in different parts of the world, they are integrated. It could be entry into licensing or franchising, joint venture arrangements with the local organization, strategic alliances, or by operating a wholly owned foreign subsidiary in a local market. In simple words, I have an organization, I have a business, and my business units are in different parts of the world, some way or the other, because I'm the joint owner of all these organizations. So somehow all these businesses are integrated with each other. That is globalization for us. Now, is globalization a good means of expanding my business? Yes, of course, it's a good means. We get some benefits if we enter into any globalization ventures. We might face some difficulties or some problems because there are different laws, there are different cultures, there are different financial implications when I am operating my business in so many parts of the world. Let's try and see what happens. Now, why does globalization happen? There are certain factors which allows us to go for globalization. What are these? Globalization is largely driven by four primary and converging forces. What are these? These are competitive factors, technology factors, social factors, or maybe political factors. What are competitive factors? Earlier, what used to happen, if I have my business in one region part of the world, I am operating here. I am well aware of all the laws here. I am well aware of the culture here. I am well aware of the labor laws here. I am well aware of the financial aspects of operating my business here in this my primary region. But what happens is now the trade barriers have opened up. Now it's very easy. The other parts of the world, they have opened up the trade barriers. They have made it very easy for organizations to take their setup and establish a subsidiary or make a presence in other part of the world. Overseas companies are engaged in rapid international expansion, exporting products designed for global markets. I'll give you a small example of brands such as Sony and Panasonic. They've raised their quality standards and lowered their prices simultaneously. How? By entering into different parts of the world. European manufacturers have lost market share in their home markets and internationally because of these two brands, Sony and Panasonic. Now they realize that they have to become more globally competitive if they were to survive. If I continue giving a substandard quality to my consumer, but suddenly some overseas company, they establish their office in my, or they establish their factory in my region, suddenly my competition has increased. Now, if I want to survive in this market, I have to provide a good quality product. So that is the competitive factor for globalization. The second one is technology factors. What is technology? Nowadays, all of us have mobiles in our hands. The communication has increased, the transport has increased. With that, the economies of scale have been reached. Rapid advances in transport and communication have provided a technological platform for global activities. Why? Because they have enabled economies of scale. And again, outsourcing of components is very easy these days. Today, much of the integrative activities that characterizes globalization is technologically driven and supported. And this infrastructure provides the platform for globally integrated organization to be engaged in different elements of production across many countries. I know that today I'm sitting here, the labor cost is cheaper in, say, country X. So I outsource my production, maybe production or maybe IT services or any other kind of services which are cheaper in that country. I'll outsource that. Right? How is it possible? Because of changes in technology. So that has increased globalization. So that is point number 2 for us, which is technological factors. The third one is social factors. Today, there is a convergence in global consumer taste as mass markets have been created. And friends, this convergence is the result of extension of urbanization. This is the result of extension of industrialization across the world. And population is adapting quickly to new products. We took the example of Sony and Panasonic. Maybe, these days people have exposure to all kinds of products. So maybe the product which was being provided in their primary region, yes, they were adapting to it because there was no other alternative. But now, if there is an alternative, people have changed their taste. Their lifestyles have changed. They are now frequently traveling from one place to another. So the globalization has increased. So that is point number 3 for us, which is the social factor. The fourth one is political factors. There are so many organizations in the world. We have so many countries in the world which have come together. The people in these countries, the governments of these countries, they want to increase their trade. So what they do, they form associations among themselves. They try and promote each other in their respective areas. The General Agreement on Tariffs and Trades, that is, which is known as GATT or GATE, it developed into World Trade Organization. And this organization has proved central to the advancement and growth in world trade. What is the aim? Again, the aim is to lower the trade barriers and extend the benefits of globalization. It has increased, it has given the benefit of globalization to smaller organizations also. The smaller organization participation has been increased in trade, and changes in technology has made trade much more accessible to all these medium organization or small organization. So there are so many things happening at the back end, and these 4 primary factors are responsible for globalization. Again, we summarize that the competitive factors, the competition has increased. So now the people have access to all the products in the world. That means the competition has increased. Second is technological factors. The transport and communication cost has been reduced. We can now get access to economies of scale. We can get our production done in those countries where the cost of production is less. So how is it possible? Because of changes in transport and communication. So that is technological factors. The third one is social factors. Because of frequent traveling, because of different tastes, people's lifestyle have been changed. The people's product preferences have been changed. And that has given a boost to globalization. The fourth one is political factors. All the governments of the world, all the trade organizations, they've come together and they have formed a central organization, which is World Trade Organization, which tries to boost the globalization and give the benefit of globalization even to smaller organizations. So these are the four primary factors of why the globalization has increased over the past few years. Now we'll see, why is it difficult to do globalization, or what are the challenges of globalization? Is it that easy? Today, if I'm sitting in country A and I suddenly decide that I want to expand my business to country B, is it that easy? Definitely not. Because when I'm sitting in country A, as I told you earlier also, it is very easy for me. I have been born and brought up in this region. I know the taste of people around me. I have seen the political advancements in my country. I know all the labor laws, all the consumer laws in my country. I know even the small nitty-gritties of my country. I do not have any idea about country B. Maybe country B might have some production difficulties. Maybe their labor laws or their consumer laws are difficult for me to understand, or they are contrary to what my perception is. Or maybe the competition which I am thinking that here there is less competition, or here this is this kind of competition. Maybe that perception is not correct in country B. So it is not easy. Definitely, globalization poses few challenges for us, and we have to overcome. To overcome those challenges, we have to first understand those challenges, right? So we can easily say that the risk of globalization definitely has the standard risk which is faced in the market competition. So that is point number one for us. That this is the factor which is a big challenge for globalization competition. I have to make more space among current competitors who are already established in that place. Existing competitors will have experience in that market and better market knowledge and understanding. They might be having some established relationships with the suppliers and distributors there, and so it is very difficult for a new entry like me to find my space in that country. Then I can say distribution challenges. What are distribution challenges? Now, every country, there are different distribution arrangements in different markets. So it might not be possible to directly apply that approach, which was successful in one market, and to think that it will be successful in another market also. No, that is not always correct. Therefore, the my essence is to invest in building and developing local relationships. Is it easy to maintain, to make that kind of relationship, or to maintain that kind of relationship? So that is our second factor, or our second challenge of globalization, which is the distribution factors. Now we'll understand few more challenges. Now, macroeconomic factors. If we talk about macroeconomic factors, different markets have different economic drivers. So it is important for us that we have a thorough understanding of the regions and that market. What is the driving growth and consumption pattern? What is the affordability level of the customer segments? What goods are being offered to them, or what goods they will choose to buy? So we have to take care of all those macroeconomic factors. The next one is socio-economic factors. If we talk about socio-economic factors in that country, the social, economic, and business practices might differ for a range of cultural and historical reasons. It is not necessary that people in Singapore or people in Hong Kong or people in Australia or people in India, they have same taste, they have same cultural influences, they have same historical reasons. Sometimes we do not buy product for its value. Sometimes we buy a product because it has a cultural importance to us. People in these, for example, people in these different regions, they might have different cultural dresses. If we talk about the fabrics, maybe they have a preference for certain kind of fabric because of cultural reasons. So those are covered under socio-economic factors. I have to understand all these, the social, economic, and business practices of different places. For example, again, the relationship development and reward structures. Therefore, leadership and management styles may vary across different regions. We have to understand, or we need to have a thorough understanding to what extent the products and services need to be adapted for the local market. So these are socio-economic factors. If we talk about socio-cultural, again, it's a overlapping kind of thing, the socio-economic factors and the social cultural factors. Maybe we can overlap both these points, because different regions and countries, they have their own cultures, values, beliefs, their ways of doing work that need to be understood and respected. If we have to cater in any kind of language difficulties which may cause any differences, we have to understand the languages, we have to understand the culture. At the same time, we have to respect that difference and then make my product accordingly and then market my product accordingly in different regions. The next factor, of course, all of us are very well aware of it, the financial factors, the financial systems and financial factors. We need to understand that there could be some variances. There could be a cost associated with customizing the product and service with the local market needs that have to be factored in. We have to understand the difference in the taxation rates, or maybe the inflation rates, or maybe the interest rate, or maybe the exchange rates. We'll study about this exchange rate in detail when we go to module 4. Maybe a product is cheaper in one market, but at the same time, if I decide to market that product in another market, the people have to pay more prices, or maybe because of difference in variances in cost, or maybe because of the exchange rate variance, I might incur some losses because my currency has a lower value in that other country. So exchange rate risk. And then again, the local cost, as I said earlier, the customization of the product and service needs to be factored in. We have to understand, if I am marketing a product A, which I know will be suitable in product B, but with some minor changes. So I have to make a customization in that product. I have to factor in that cost as well. So these are financial factors which might pose a challenge for globalization. We go to next slide, which further discusses about other factors. The legal factors, for example. What are the legal factors? Are legal factors and political factors same? No. Policies are different. Legislation is different. Legislation is always there. Policies might change. So it says that the physical factors, if we talk about legal factors, yes, business need to understand and comply with different laws and regulations in different countries. The debt collection arrangements may be different and more difficult in unfamiliar jurisdictions. So we have to take the help of some expertise, and again we have to factor in the cost of that expert organization also, somebody who is familiar with that jurisdiction. So those are legal factors. Then we have some physical factors. There are different time zone. It might pose a challenge for communication and logistics and operations in remote locations. especially in less developed countries. There may be inadequate local infrastructure such as roads. I might think that the transport cost is, if it is less in my country, it is more than definitely possible that the local transport cost is on a higher side in a less developed country because the infrastructure is poor. Maybe there is a poor energy and water supply. Maybe there are different power resources and standards. So we have to factor in all those things when we talk about physical factors. Again, when I talked about the legal factors, I said there is a legislation and then there are policies. Right. So those policies are covered under political factors. Business need to understand and work with different political systems, with different governments, with different international agencies. We have need to have a thorough understanding of those policies. Then, of course, we have labor issues, maybe different labor laws, different labor practices. So those are labor issues for us. Moving on, as I said, technology factors, the potential for leakage of intellectual property and know-how. It need to be managed. At the same time, we have to manage the online business activity and their related cyber security threats. If I have some IP right on my product, when I'm transferring that product or when I'm taking that product to market B or to an unknown market, I have to actually protect my intellectual property. I have to take out the patents or I have to do something to protect my right over that property. So those are the technology factors which might pose a challenge for globalization. Then our last point in this is localization versus standardization. My company is known for its standard, right? That standard is good enough for country A and for country B, but it is not good for country C. I have to localize or I have to customize my product. At the same time, I have to maintain my standard of product or my standard of quality. So we have to understand what degree of standardization versus customization is optimal for growth and profitability. Therefore, as leaders, what is our duty when we think about this, when we talk about the threats of or the challenges of globalization? As leaders, we should know how to understand and respond to these challenges, to understand the macroeconomic environment, the GDP trends, the labor costs, the consumption pattern. So the leadership has to be associated with strategy, with planning, with investment. And this is possible if only we have an understanding or we have a knowledge or know-how of the challenges that we might face during the process of globalization. Moving ahead. Now we talked about the factors which might result in globalization or which might boost the globalization. We talked about the challenges of globalization. Why are we doing this? Of course, I might be thinking in my head that I'll get some benefit if I opt for globalization of my organization. What are those benefits? So the following are the major benefits of globalization. The first one is cost benefit. Of course, the economies of scale. I know, as we talked about this earlier also, the cost of production is lower in country B than in country A. So what I'll transfer all my production to country B. The IT services are cheaper in country C. I'll outsource all my IT services to country C. So there are cost benefits and I might achieve the economies of scale. We definitely when the cost benefits arise because the efficiency of production and the lowering of overall production cost is now possible. The second one is timing benefits. It is very important to understand because at times few questions come from um, this particular aspect or this particular benefit of globalization, that what are timing benefits. We should understand that product or service development and its launch should be coordinated on a global basis. Why? Because the global launches are a barrier to copying, right? The reason being, if a product is launched at the same time, there is no chance of piracy or imitation. This is particularly beneficial for the product with a short life cycle. And of course, then we say that the cost of logistics increase. Yes, the cost of logistics and planning is increased. But at the same time, what are we getting in return? A greater efficiency. And the biggest reason for that, for this offset of cost, is the prevention of piracy. Because if piracy happens, or if copying happens, that would be a real big challenge for me. Right. The example is the launch of mobile phones at the same time all over the world. It gives the benefit of communication and speed. So our first benefit is, of course, the cost benefit. Second one is the timing benefit. The next one is learning benefit. What is learning benefit? Now, the coordination of information sharing across countries and subsidiaries eliminates this national silos of knowledge, right? And it leads to a higher overall learning and knowledge sharing. If I have solved any problem, I can at the same time give that solution to another subsidiary of the same organization, and I would not want that subsidiary to spend that much time, that much energy on solving the problem that I've already solved. The subsidiaries should not be wasting resources independently confronting problems already solved somewhere else, right? So those are the learning benefits. Somebody else has learned, I am learning from his learning. So I will not make that mistake which that person has already made. Right. The last one is arbitrage benefit. What is arbitrage benefits? That means the use of resources in subsidiaries in different countries. It should be coordinated to achieve lowest possible cost. Because we all know that as currencies fluctuate and the price of raw material components and finished goods varies in different markets, it is definitely worthwhile locating that specific function to achieve greater return on investment and improved competitive positioning. Get the product from the place where its cost is the cheapest. That is arbitrage benefit for us. All these potential benefits which we have discussed till now, there are four major benefits which are given in the module: the cost benefits, the timing benefits, learning benefits, and arbitrage benefits. Now all these potential benefits are dependent on other conditions such as market growth or globalization or technological advances, customer responsiveness. And we know for sure when these benefits coincide, globalization can provide significant returns that would not be possible in a localized approach. So, in that case, globalization is definitely beneficial for us. Now, that summarizes our this topic, but we'll just take one more example on it, which are given in the module. The first one is the example of Zara. Right. It says that Zara, which is the Spanish clothing retailer, it uses its ability to organize its manufacturing operations on global basis for business advantage by integrating number of businesses across the world with ease. The fabric is designed in one location, produced in another location, and marketed in another location. Right. So Zara, it's a global brand. So that is what essentially is globalization. Zara is a global brand. All the clothes of Zara, they are available all over the world, and they make use of that cost benefit, that timing benefit, that arbitrage benefit, that learning benefit. Right. The second example is of Boeing. Boeing decided that for its 787 Dreamliner jet production, the components would be made by numerous suppliers located around the world. Other contractors would assemble the components into sub-assemblies, and Boeing would use its US factory to put together the various completed sub-assemblies and integrate the jet system to create and finish jet made elsewhere. Right. The third example is J.C. Penney. It is one of the largest retailers in United States, and their operations are supported by a variety of US and internationally based support facilities, including head office at one place, supply chain at one place, design studio at another place, buying offices, quality assurance offices, and multiple cities located across the world. So, what are these three organizations doing? They are making use of the globalization, right? They have understood what are the factors which cause globalization. They have understood what are the risks or challenges of globalization. After getting an understanding of those risks, they have reaped the benefits of globalization. Right. And now, if we go to the extended, if like people have asked about the extended questions which come in the exam. So, if it suppose a case study is given to you and they've asked you that what are the these are the circumstances, or these are the clauses of these are the facts of the case study. Now you have to answer. If they're talking about risk, you can take all those 7 8 risks which we have just studied. You can take those risks and compare the case study with those risks. If they're asking you about the benefits, give a reference of all those four benefits and discuss the case study with reference to those four benefits. So that's the way you are going to answer the questions. Now, question number 1.7 and question number 1.8 in the module, they specifically discuss 1.7 discuss about challenges of Boeing, right? The Boeing globalization. So you can list all those challenges, what we've discussed right now. And question number 1.8 ask about the benefits of globalization for the company Mountain Bikes Direct. So you can discuss those four benefits and give a reference of all the facts of the case study. So that's how you will answer questions of the extended response answers in the exam. Friends, operating in a global context today, it involves decision, how to organize and optimize your operation. It might involve complex strategic leadership and management analysis. And for being an effective leader, we must know how to develop strategy in the context of global markets. I hope you all have found some value in this video. If you have any doubts, please do let me know in your comments. Thank you so much.